Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for a link to my Amazon store where I've compiled some of the very best items available, including some of my own personal recommendations. Thanks! What's going on, YouTube? Middle Complex here, and welcome to my new series, the Weekly Loot Grind. So I've actually done this a couple of other times, and it was just this idea that I had in my head. I was like, I normally, I'm an affiliate for a couple of different online retailers, and I normally go through and I look at things like naturally, right? I'm a knife person. We all do this, right? And I look through just for things that look interesting, right? I may not necessarily be interested in buying anything, but I like looking at this stuff. And I thought, I bet other people would like to hear about this, would like to see what I think is interesting or what is new, a combination of different things, expensive stuff, inexpensive stuff. And to my surprise, you guys really liked that. And a few people actually said you should really turn this into a weekly series. So guess what, guys? Every probably Saturday, but it'll be on the weekends. Once a week, I'm going to do this series, which is now called the Weekly Loot Grind. It means exactly what you think it means. I love playing RPGs, right? Nobody likes necessarily doing the grinding part for the loot, but getting the loot itself is always fun in those games, and that's kind of how I look at this, right? If you don't play RPGs, then okay. There's stuff here that's interesting, and if you want to make a purchase, I will provide the links down in the description. Full disclosure, this is all stuff that's on Blade HQ, and I'm a Blade HQ affiliate. What does that mean? It means if you use my links to go purchase any of this stuff, it does benefit me. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that. But I've got a whole bunch of different pieces of different pieces of gear in here, and knives, like I said, ranging from inexpensive to expensive. Surely at least one thing, that most people are going to find somewhat interesting. But if not, then just sit back, relax, and hopefully you're just entertained by this. So right off the bat here, the first thing that I found interesting. Now, these items are not necessarily items I've handled. They're just things that I think are interesting. The Olight i5T EOS flashlight, limited edition in copper. It's got 300 lumens, but it's $40. This is a cool, small little EDC flashlight. I like Olight. I like how they do their clips. Anything that's in copper always stands out to me. I just think it's interesting. It's kind of trendy right now to have things in copper, So if you've got kind of a coppery EDC setup and you're looking for a flashlight to complete your pocket dump picture on Instagram, or if you're just looking for a cool flashlight, 300 lumens is plenty. I've got a flashlight here with 700 or 800 lumens, and truthfully, it's way too bright. I understand there's a focus or kind of a, an interest factor, a cool factor with flashlights that have insane lumen numbers, but for the most part, I'm finding that about 300 lumens is about as bright as I ever need a flashlight to be. Your needs might be different, but I thought this was really interesting. For $40, right? Not really that big of a deal. Each one of these items will be listed down in the description in order, by the way, so you guys can easily find them. Moving on here, holy crap. Anybody who's been looking for a super interesting, very unique Microtech Combat Truett, this is a double edge, right, in two-tone DLC and some satin in there a little bit, but it's got carbon fiber on it. That is awesome. So this guy will weigh a little bit less than the standard Combat Truett, which I think is welcome, even though that these are normally aluminum, right? The carbon fiber should reduce the weight a little bit more. So if if you can legally carry this, right, a knife that's double-edged, that's automatic, and that's this big, right, if you live in a state like Kansas like I do, then you can carry this. And you've always been kind of, the Combat Truett is so big, right? The carbon fiber is, number one, interesting. Number two, it is rare compared to the standard versions. And number three, it's lighter weight, right? This is super cool. These don't pop up super often. It says blade material, premium steel there, and you're wondering what the heck is it? It's probably 204P or M390. That is what Microtech has moved to. A lot of you are seeing that price tag and you're like, oh my God, it's made in the USA. That's a pretty normal price tag for a specialized Combat Truett. I think these normally are like $485, so you're paying an extra $100 for the carbon fiber. Some people are going to see value in it. Some people aren't. I'm not here to judge. You guys can do what you want. Moving on here. Now, I know people are like, what? Why? The Flatiron, didn't you give that a bad review? So mine I did. And then it started being a knife that I kind of tossed around and was using, and it has actually survived many a weekend. Whether I'm in my backyard or like here recently we were up on our roof, like we redid our own roof, and this thing got tossed around between people who could care less about the knife as a tool and how it's, they were just using it, right? And I got mad at this thing for some lackluster fit and finish. The version that I had, which was like the very first version that came out in the aluminum scales, and mine seemed to have a little bit of lock rock, but not once did this thing disengage. It's also, you know, mine is in like the 7CR, like the really crap steel. This one's in D2. But that 7CR, well, it did dull up just as fast as anything else as I was using up there on those shingles. And I know. Use the hook blades, use the box cut. We had those up there too. But I was still really impressed with how well this thing held up. And then Nick Shabazz sent me a bunch of knives to review. And I think, sent me his Flatiron. And his looked just like mine, but it had none of the same fit and finish issues. That was interesting to me. So this knife actually might be getting a re-review on my channel because I feel like maybe I got a dud. This one's interesting because it is in micarta, the blue micarta, and it's in D2. $50, yeah, I mean, it's right there, kind of reasonable, but this might be something that some people might want to check out. So I thought I'd toss it in here. Moving on, if you are into neck knives and you're into Hinderer knives, Hinderer makes an LP1 Wharncliffe now in S30V. This is an expensive little neck knife for sure, but it's USA made, and for Hinderer fans, this might be something that's interesting. I always like the knives that are just plain and have the frames that you can wrap in paracord, right? So, like I said, this is an expensive knife, but it's going to be interesting to some people, so I decided to throw that on there. I hadn't seen that blade shape yet, so I thought that was pretty cool. Moving on here. Now, I'm not a fidget spinner guy. I'm not. Not at all. But this is made by We. I know that there are people who watch my channel who are still into fidget spinners. I know. And no judgment. They're kind of neat, right? My son's got a bunch. They're whatever. This is made out of titanium, and it's on sale for $50. So if you, for whatever reason, want a really, really nice fidget spinner made out of titanium, I would trust We. I've heard that, you know, everything that they make, the same level of fit and finish is applied to it. So I would imagine that this is much of the same. Moving on here, this is just something that caught my eye. This is crazy expensive. The Heretic Knives Wraith. It's an automatic in flamed titanium and Sanmai steel. Oh my gosh, that is beautiful. I know that not many people are beating down doors to buy $1,300 knives, and that's perfectly okay. I just wanted to show this one to you guys because I think it's really, really cool. I have no idea why one person has it rated at 3 stars. Who knows? You know, anomalies happen. But Heretic Knives, the way I understand it, is associated with Microtech. It's like one of his sons. I've heard nothing but good things about Heretic Knives, so I couldn't imagine that there's anything to worry about here. But this is a big knife, 8.6 inches overall. It's 170 thousandths on the spine, and it's got a 3.6 inch blade, and it looks to be automatic. Yeah, in fact, it says automatic right there. It's just a really good looking knife to me. I just thought that was super interesting, and somebody might at least be interested to go take a closer look at it. Moving on here. So after I saw that one, I thought, I wonder what the most expensive automatic knife is on the website. You know, last time I did this, I looked up the most expensive knife on all of Blade HQ, which I'll do periodically just for your entertainment. But it turns out the most expensive automatic knife that's on Blade HQ right now is the Protec Godfather Ultimate Custom. Look at the detail. I mean, you guys can't see it probably very well here on my phone. So if you check the link and go look at it, zoom in and look at the detail work on the bolsters, on the blade, Damascus steel blade, 9 1/4 inches overall. There definitely are people who buy Ultimate Custom Protecs, right? There is a lot more that goes into an Ultimate Custom Protec than a standard production Protec. On top of that, yeah, I think you know, the name Godfather in the the knife model makes a lot of sense just on the profile, but this is truly like a knife that I could see the Godfather actually owning and carrying on his person. This is really, really cool. Moving on here, Falk Knife and Knives, the F1 is periodically available and periodically not available. This is a fairly expensive knife for what it comes in. It is VG10 steel, but I have heard nothing but amazing things about this knife. This is one of those, you know, aesthetically pleasing knives. Like, it's very simple, but it's for that reason it's pleasing to so many different people. And on top of that, it is apparently a wonderful user knife. The good thing about VG10, it's got okay edge retention, right? But it's very easy to sharpen. It's very, very stainless, which are two qualities that I think are, you know, qualities that you'd want in a fixed blade. And it looks like this is absolutely set up to be used and used continuously. So while they're available, I just want to let you guys know. Moving on here. Now, this is a knife that I did not know it existed until I came across it on Blade HQ. This is a Mini Freak in S90V, but it's got carbon fiber for the scales and then a red stud. pretty expensive at $263, but man, a miniature version of the Freak, talk about like EDC heaven. And an S90V on a smaller knife. I'm a big fan of S90V on smaller knives that have thinner blade geometry, that are much thinner behind the edge, and I would imagine that's probably the case here. You can see blade thickness is not very much. So it is a little pricey. It's, you know, it's a Benchmade knife, but you know, if you're looking for something like this, looking for something new and something different, right, this might be right up your alley. Moving on here. Now, before you guys are like, that's a Benchmade 940, we've already seen that. Read carefully there. Automatic. This is an automatic 940. When did this come out? I had no idea that this was a thing. S30V in aluminum, right? $230 is quite a bit of money, but I think it's kind of neat that the 940 all of a sudden has an automatic form. I know that there's somebody out there who will, you know, think that this is interesting, right? If it's not for you, it's not for you. But as soon as I read that it was an automatic version of the 940, I was like, what? They're actually calling it the Benchmade Osborne 9400. So interesting. Is that the case with all the automatic Benchmades? Do they have 1000 series numbers instead of 100 series? I don't know. I never noticed that. Anyways, moving on here, the Spyderco Delica 4 in K390. K390, I have recently learned, is slightly tougher than Maximate and it has slightly less edge retention. But incredible, like basically makes M390 look like nothing in terms of edge retention. More edge retention than M4, right? About the only thing that's anywhere near the edge retention of Maxima is K390. This is the only thing, you know, a steel like this is the only thing that could get me to buy a Delica again, because you know, looking at the Delica and like forever, it's been like 85 to 90 bucks for VG10, and I'm like, I get that it's like one of the most iconic EDC folding knives of all time, but it's just, I want something, you know, K390 in this dark blue, that's pretty cool. If you're looking for, you know, an ultra lightweight, compact EDC knife with a crazy steel on it, this K390 stuff apparently is pretty serious. And I think it comes in at a reasonable $115. Yeah, I'm totally on board for that. I think that's really cool, so I thought you guys might too. Moving on here, this is that one, well, just like the K390 Delica and some other knives in that series, this is the one that was in the recent, I think, in the Spyderco Reveal catalog that I did. This is the Canis compression lock. You guys can't see it very well in this picture, but it's got that weird, it's like a compound swedge up top. I don't know what that's for, but it's interesting. It's different, right? CPM S30V comes in pretty pricey. This is a Taichung Taiwan knife, so expect it to have like excellent overall fit and finish. $192, right? Some people are going to love it. Some people aren't. People who love Wharncliffe knives, right? It's probably going to be your thing. And it has the compression lock. That's going to be the thing that makes people pay attention to this knife is, I don't know, I kind of like Wharncliffe's. It's kind of a weird looking knife. Oh, compression lock, right? Yeah, that seems pretty cool. So I wanted to point that out. Moving on here, everybody knows about the Zero Tolerance Syncovich 0452 CF. Big knife. This is unquestionably one of ZT's best knives of all time. I feel like this is going to get discontinued any day now. If you have not experienced this knife, if you haven't picked one of these up for yourself, or if you've picked one up and then thought, I'll sell it, you know, and then you miss it, grab one while you can. I'm not trying to, you know, throw the whole fear of missing out thing at you, but I'm just saying this is a really good knife, and it's such a joy to flip, right? ZT is doing this thing lately where they're like, let's get rid of all of our great models and come out with stuff that nobody is interested in, right? So this is a good one, guys. Pick it up if you are in a situation where you can. Moving on here, case in point. This is one where I'm like, I don't know if this is the direction I want ZT to head in, but it is a new thing from ZT that is interesting because it is new. This is the Zero Tolerance Onzo O235 slip joint knife in carbon fiber, 2.6 inches of CPM 20CV there, 6.3 inches overall. It's not as small as I thought, or as small as the picture makes it look. If you're big into modern slip joints that are American made with premium materials, this might be something you're interested in. That price tag is pretty high for what you're getting, but, you know, if you really like slip joints, maybe this is right up your alley. Moving on here, a knife that will soon be coming to the channel, one that I love the aesthetic of. This is the Wenot Co Lundqvist Angst frame lock knife. Now, I love this knife because it is a perfectly symmetrical, other than the cut for the titanium frame lock on the other side, perfectly symmetrical flipper dagger. I don't think it's sharp on both sides, which makes sense. It would be difficult to put away, right? It's still super cool. 7 inches overall, so it's a nice medium-sized knife. 3 inches of cutting edge. Very thin on the, you can't call it really the spine because the thickest part of the blade goes down the middle or right outside of the fuller. CPM S30V VN, $157. Yeah, I think WE is continuing to do an amazing job, and it looks like that is carbon fiber laid into, or maybe it's carbon fiber with G10 inlays. Very, very interesting for sure. I can't wait to check this one out for myself. Moving on here, another knife that I thought was interesting, the Wenot Co MRF Marcus Reichert folding knife, shred carbon fiber and 3.5 inches of cutting edge there. 8 inches overall, but here's the crazy thing, guys. This is actually a big slip joint. You're probably wondering, you're probably looking at the overlays and you're like, is that a fixed blade? Is it a folding knife? It's a folding knife, but it's basically a large slip joint. So I guess for people who are limited in their areas by, legalities that are concerned with locking knives, but they still want to carry a big, capable knife, this might be something you're interested in. On top of that, it's a fully flat ground blade, and it looks pretty simple, right? I kind of like the way that it looks. I feel like I've seen a review of this thing here lately, but I can't remember. It just looked really, really interesting to me. And as usual, WE does a great job. Moving on here, I brought this up recently, or in a video I think you guys have yet to see. The WE Deacon, I think, is very, very, very underrated. And I know you're like, well, it's popular. It was a popular knife. I think it deserves more popularity. Those blades, I think, are vapor blasted, which yields an incredible aesthetic. This particular version of it has a black titanium bolster, carbon fiber, and bronzed hardware. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. They call the blade bead blasted, but the blade does not look bead blasted. It looks something different. I called it cloudy day or overcast, right? But yeah, this is just an excellent EDC size knife. 7.35 inches overall and 3.25 inch cutting edge for people who like that perfect, easy to carry, medium sized, tactical gentleman's flipper that has all the dressings and everything on it. I think it's well worth the money. I love this knife. Moving on here, I think this one got brought up in another one of these videos, but I just want to bring this knife up again. I think the Besttech Texel is one of the best budget knives that's out there. I love this color of G10, this natural G10. It's got more of an emerald hue to it than pond scum, but it's somewhere in between there. 7.5 inches overall, 3.25 inches of cutting edge in D2 steel, runs on bearings, and has, of course, Besttech's legendary fit and finish for their budget knives. This is excellent. This area of the budget knife world has a lot of competition right now, guys, but this just has an excellent EDC blade shape, excellent handle room. It makes use of all these measurements, and fits it into a nice, easy to carry size. I love Besttech knives, and if you don't like this color, they've got other colors, but I think the Texel is an excellent knife. Moving on here, I just recently unboxed this knife. I didn't even know that it existed, and then I handled it, and I was like, oh my god. So this is the Riyad Torrent. Titanium, runs on bearings, has Riyad's, fit and finish, which is, Riyad is one of the very best production knife companies that exists in terms of fit and finish, and everything is always just laser perfect. It's just insane. That's part of the reason you pay a little bit more money for these things. One of my favorite things about this knife, I'm sure you guys can tell, this basically looks exactly the same as a Hinderer XM18 3.5 inch with the Harpoon Spanto blade. And it's similar. It's still got its own thing going on. One of the best things about it, in my opinion, is that it's using RWL 34 steel, which is basically identical to CPM 154. And many of you guys know that CPM 154, while not the coolest, newest knife steel on the block, is definitely one of the best user steels, if not the very best user steel out there. This knife is a tank. It uses external stops. It feels meaty and robust and extremely capable. And on top of that, you have all the little complexities, all the little details that make you feel good about the money you spent on the knife. This knife is crazy recommendable. I did a review on it. I don't know if you guys you probably haven't seen it yet at the time of this video. I record things way in the future, so it's hard to keep track of it in my mind. But yeah, when you guys see this review, it's going to get an amazing, very, very positive review. This is it's one of my favorite Riyad knives that exists. and it might be Riyad's best knife or very close to their best knife in terms of, you know, all the little things that I look for. Moving on here, I think this is the last one. This is not a new knife in terms of the model. The Emerson Protec Red Devil CQC7, this Tanto here. Almost 8 inches overall, so great EDC size. I like how the knife looks. I'm not really an Emerson fan, but I am a Protec fan. And I think this knife makes sense as an auto. Obviously, what's cool about it here is it's got the two-tone satin and red blade. That coating is likely Cerakote. It's durable, but it will wear off after a long, you know, time of using it. I like these colored Cerakotes. I just think they look really cool. It adds a little bit of flair and class to the, you know, the typical. It's like, well, it comes in black, gray, or satin, or tumbled, right, or two-tone. I like that Protec is adding some color to some of these knives, and I think it's really, really neat. Almost everything Protec does is kind of limited run, right? You can bet if it's colored, it probably is at least fairly limited. So I don't think they're going to continuously do exactly this version of the you know, CQC7 with the red in there. But it probably does come in a bunch of different colors. So if you use the link to get into Blade HQ, you can probably look around a little bit and see what other interesting color combinations that Protec's got for this model or any other models. Guys, I think that we have come to the end of the list here. Yeah, that's it. So let me know. Do you guys like this? Do you want me to keep doing? I mean, I think I'm gonna let this run for a while. It's gonna be a weekend series for a while. As long as there are people continuously interested in this, I will keep doing it. This is a lot of fun for me. It's something that I do anyway. I know, you know, not everybody likes the screen recorded episodes, but most of you guys seem to really like this, and you like it when I kind of pick things out and point out what I think is interesting. So let me know what you thought. That's going to be pretty much it. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that metal complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.